My name is James Ehnes. I was born in Brandon, Manitoba, and I'm a concert violinist. I think perfect happiness for me is the kind of happiness where you're so in the moment that you forget about other things in the world that might not be perfect. My greatest fear is definitely having to do with torture or mutilation or slow, painful death. That kind of freaks me out. I think people would expect me to talk about musicians as far as people that I admire, but that's a difficult thing for me to do because a lot of the great musicians have been notoriously not such nice people. Though I would have to say that I think it would be impossible for any musician not to admire Beethoven, to have written all that incredible music that he wrote after he went profoundly deaf. Not only to admire the music, but to admire the man for working through that kind of adversity where anyone else would say, well, I'm deaf, I can't write music, just shut it down. And he didn't do that, and thank goodness he didn't. I don't like to really harp on characteristics in myself that I dislike. I like to think more about areas that I could improve. Sometimes that's even things that I might like about myself. You know, I might think, oh, well, I like this quality in myself, but I could like it even more if I were a little bit more A, B, or C. So I try not to be negative and think I really, really dislike this part of myself. But I think, you know, I'm okay. I could probably be better, and maybe this is how. It really bothers me, the characteristic that you come across every day in people where people are just not nice. You know, there are so many people you meet that just aren't as nice as they can be. It doesn't take any effort. People say, oh, you should make the effort to be nice. Well, it's not an effort, it's a choice. There's so many opportunities in life to just be polite or kind, and it takes absolutely no work, and it makes the world a better place. I think that everyone should just stop and consider sometimes how much better their day is when they deal with nice people. I think I'm excessive about a lot of things in my life. I had a friend that once told me that I don't have hobbies, I only have obsessions. But I think probably the most noticeable obsession, the thing I'm most excessive about in most people's eyes would be baseball. I spend way too much time following it, and I'm far too passionate. I think the so-called virtue of selflessness is overrated because I think it's just kind of false. I'm not sure that it really exists. I think that the idea of selflessness in reality manifests itself most often as self-righteousness. I think that when a good deed is done, I think there's no great virtue in doing something good and then claiming that it was just purely selfless to do it, because well, if you're telling people that, if you're claiming that, then obviously you're looking for some sort of adulation, and that means that by definition it's not selfless. So I think the greatest challenge in life is trying to communicate something that means a great deal to me and trying to communicate it in such a way that it can mean a very great deal to someone else. I think that communication that's the kernel of human relations, and it's what I do. I perform music that I care so deeply and passionately about. It's always the great challenge to me to try to bring it across in such a way that there are people in the audience that feel as passionate about it as I do. Well, there was a recording I made last year, the complete Mozart violin concertos. This was a recording where I got involved in so many extra musical things. I was wearing a lot of different hats that were very new to me. I was an administrator, I was in charge of booking the hall and in charge of editing and writing liner notes. There were all sorts of things that fell out of my regular roles. And the way that it all came off, I couldn't have been happier. And I'm really proud of that because it was things that I wasn't sure if I could do. There were a lot of people that thought I was crazy to be taking it all on, but it all turned out okay, so I'm pretty proud. I had a lot of ambitions. There were a lot of things I wanted to do. When I was real little, I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to play the violin. I wanted to be a garbage man. I thought that'd be so fun to play with the noisy cans. Of course, we don't have the noisy cans anymore, so maybe that's why I'm not a garbage man. I feel very lucky because I'm doing what I always dreamed of doing. There aren't a lot of people that get to say that, so I feel lucky every day that that's the way it's turned out for me. A few years ago, I got a letter in the mail from Brandon University saying that they would like to honor me with an honorary doctorate. At the time, I think my reaction was I started to laugh. I thought, how great is this? Talk about the last thing I expected. I called up my wife, said, you're not going to believe the letter I just got. Because, of course, I'm proud of what I've achieved, and I'm extremely honored to be associated with the School of Music at Brandon University. But there's a part of me that I think, I'm not old enough to get an honorary doctorate. I mean, is this some sort of a joke? But the best part about it, by far, is that now, I guess, technically speaking, I outrank my dad, who teaches at Brandon University. So I can always, pull out the certificate and say, hey, Dad, watch it, watch it. I feel safe and secure when my desk is clean and I've got money in the bank. I like good weather. I like a perfect, warm day. If I've got that to start with, it's very difficult for me to have a bad day when the weather's perfect. That's really important to me. I dislike mushrooms. I hate mushrooms. I like to tell people that I'm allergic to them, and I think I maybe sort of am, and that I did have to eat, one time I had to eat this dish full of mushrooms right before a concert, and my neck swelled up so big that I couldn't button my concert shirt. So now that's my excuse. I'm allergic to mushrooms. I'm sorry, I can't eat them. I'd love to, but I just can't. The fact is I hate them. Hate them. I would love to have a talent for drawing or painting. Nothing profound, it's not that I have some great hidden ambition to be some great artist. It's just I would love to have the kernel of talent where I could develop it to a point where I could see something and put it down on a piece of paper. As I travel to so many interesting places, I would love to be able to come back from a trip and remember some beautiful place and be able to put that down on paper. I think that'd be really quite amazing. Some words that are very, very important to me are the expression that good things happen to good people. I always try to make an effort to be a nice guy, and I feel that there have been times in my life where I've been rewarded by that. I think it's important to always be optimistic.